90 seconds.
Thank you very much. In my opening statement, I'm going to go ahead and hit the ground running. In one of my opponent's flyers, we brought up the issue that the relationship with the city and the county has deteriorated due to a recent lawsuit. I would say, and to put on record, that is not true. The relationship between the city and the county could not be any better. With any type of relationships and contracts, you have disputes, and that's what it was. And the city won, the county lost, and we moved on. We have currently 22 agreements with the city. So if our relationship is deteriorating, then why do we have 22 agreements called MOUs with the city? And none of them are under any type of threat. So, you know, my wife will be arguing all the time. She wins most of the time, but at the end of the day, we kiss and make up, and we still love each other. So basically, that's what it was. Let's move on, get it over with. But we have agreements. There's still real word agreements out there. And now the city is one of our largest commercial users due to the lawsuit. We have merged departments. Park and Rec, one of the first departments we merged together. In my view, there's other departments that we can merge, like planning and
Time.
Thank you. Mr. Lavin.
Bless you. Thank you.
So my name is Sean Lavin, and I'm seeking your vote for Pasquotank County Commissioner. You know, there are a lot of things that I put in my flyer, and a lot of things that I see that we can do better in this county. I think there's support in the county to do better in those areas. You see it on both sides of the aisle. You see it with independents like me. Folks know that we're below average for the state and the nation in the areas of unemployment, poverty rates, post-secondary education, population growth shows it too. While other counties are gaining people, Pasquotank's one of the only one losing them. And we're tired of hearing the excuses about why we're not doing better, why we don't measure up to the folks that live, you know, a half mile that way on the other side of the line. You hear it at church, you hear it from residents, business owners, people that are employed here. They all kind of want the best for the county. They take pride in where they live, and they want to see the county be the best they can be for themselves and their families. And they want better. The better that I'm talking about means creating opportunity here through improvements in education and economic growth. It means legitimately planning for our future, being fiscally responsible, and leading an efficient and effective government.
Thank you. All right, these are the questions that have been prepared by the hosts tonight. The first one deals with education and taxes, and Commissioner Dixon, you'll lead off. The question is, county staff and commissioners have said that Pasquotank County compares favorably with other counties in terms of per pupil funding for public schools. Yet commissioners are also asking voters to allow a sales tax increase in November to support schools. Is extra funding needed, and why?
Thank you. Yes, we've always tried to stay above the state average per pupil spending, and the state average is $1,500 per pupil in North Carolina, and Pasquotank County is at $1,700. And so we've always tried to stay, you know, in that top 25% quantile. What the 4% sales tax is trying to do is basically we give the school system two pots of money. We give them the basic operating money, and then we give them the money that they have to repair their schools, roofs, and stuff like this. But what happened this year was Dr. Carter came with us with a total new proposal with a one-on-one initiative, which he's trying to put a laptop in every kid's hand for a school system. And it was about a $900,000 request. Well, when we met their operating request and we met their capital improvement request, then we got sidelined with this 900. I'm all for it. So this 4% tax would create another pot of money, $1 million a year, to give to the school system for special initiatives like that. We don't have to take it away from what we're going to give them in operating or in capital. So I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. Mr. Lavin?
So yes, the answer to the question is the additional money is needed. And I believe we were more like $2.5 million short from what the school actually asked for this year. And you know, the whole reason that we're in this situation is because of the lack of planning by our commissioners now. I mean, we're not even asking for our department heads to come up with budgets that are looking farther ahead than the current budget cycle. They're getting by with the bare minimum. We should be looking out 3 to 5 years to be able to plan for these emergency needs for roofs or whatever it is this year, a new initiative, increased teacher supplements. We're in the position that we are now and having to come up with the sales tax increase because of the lack of planning in the county in the past. So yes, we need it. We compare favorably maybe to the kids or the per-pupil funding in the state, but our kids don't just compete against other kids in the state. When they go out to the job market where they can go to a college or a university, they're competing against every other student in the world. I mean, this is more of a global community, and international competition comes into play every day in the real world. So we have to prepare our kids for that type of competition.
Thank you. Next question, Mr. Lavin, you begin this. City-county relations. Last month, Elizabeth City and Pasquotank County held their first joint meeting in 3 years. What's the most important thing the city and county should work on together in the next 4 years? In your response, please include specific actions they should take.
So I think the first thing we should do is start going to the meetings. My opponent was absent for that meeting. You say it was the first one in 3 years. He claims that the city and the county don't have a strained relationship. You know, yes, you do get in arguments with your spouse at home, but usually if you're talking with them every day, you see little flare-ups popping up and you're able to squell it before they cost you $250,000 in a lawsuit. So, you know, what I'm saying and what I put in my flyer was more of a pattern of events. You know, a couple of years ago was, you know, disputes with the county and Camden, and I'm really excited to meet hopefully some future colleagues over here from Camden tonight, because, you know, last year it was the EMS deal. This year it was the water deal. And we tend to have a problem meeting and agreeing and working with the other municipalities in the area. So I think it's an area that I can certainly help with, and it certainly needs attention from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dixon.
Thank you, Sean. I'm sorry I missed that meeting, but my mother-in-law was having a major heart attack in the emergency room at Centura Albemarle Hospital, and I had to attend with my wife. So I felt like I needed to be there with my wife and not at a joint city-county meeting. Yes, it's been the first meeting in a long while, but before that, we would not have meetings on a regular basis. We did meetings as needed. First of all, we get paid to have a meeting, so why have a meeting and there's nothing to talk about? And then we get paid. So we try to save a little bit. Taxpayers' money there. If there's nothing to talk about, then don't talk about it. What the city and county needs to do the next 4 years is continue on the course of economic development. City and county work together with the Tanglewood Shopping Center. The incentive that requires some infrastructure, lights, things like that. The city and county went together and funded that equally. That project almost went down to 3 different times based on the developer, and the city and county came back to the table 3 times and made that project work. So I think the biggest thing, and also 1 in 3 children in Pasquotank County live in poverty. 1 in 2 children in Pasquotank live in single-parent households. 62% of children qualify for free or reduced school. The city and county needs to come together to try to improve. It can't be just the county; it's got to be the city as well. So, but economic development down the road, I think, is most important.
Thank you. We have 4 questions that have been submitted from the audience, and so I'd like to do those now, and then we'll give you each a 90-second summation time. Okay, and just so I can keep, we'll just go back and forth, rotating who starts. Commissioner Dixon, we'll start with you. With the growing number of charter schools and opportunity scholarship monies being poured into private schools, how will this affect the stability and effectiveness of public schools?
Well, it's definitely going to put pressure on the public schools, but you got to keep in mind, Raleigh has now 36 charter schools within Wayne County, and Charlotte has over 42. And before NEAT, Northeastern Academy, there was no charter schools in Northeastern North Carolina except for one little one down in Raleigh. Ladies and gentlemen, if we're going to compete with the Raleighs and the Charlottes, we've got to be right there with them, the charter schools. And, you know, I'm a product from our school system. I graduated from Northeastern High School, and I believe we have one of the best school systems in the state. But when you are recruiting industry and they say your diversity in education is not quite where we want it to be in, you know, they want to see a diversity. They want to see options. So I think that's important. And we're going to compete. You know, Pitt County has 4 or 5. Rocky Mountain has several. So we've got to be up there with them if we're going to compete with those counties.
Thank you. Lavin?
So I see the example with the charter schools and the way that one rolled out here as certainly shifting the dynamic and being a consideration for the local public school system here that they're going to have to deal with. I know the minds on the board of education and Dr. Partner as a superintendent are working hard to get STEM programs injected into our school system. They're doing, they've got a great initiative that I really hope gets off the ground with the early college. I think that the way that the charter school rolled out here locally was probably even a conflict of interest with my opponent, because he, as a county commissioner, is in charge of funding the local school district and went out and signed some of the documents to get the charter school here started. And so I don't know how he really separates himself from his obligations to the county, or why he didn't reach out to work with the local school district more intensely to get that diversity of the curriculum interjected into the school system here. But you're right, we don't just have to compete though with the Raleighs and the Charlottes. We have to compete, like I said, internationally. And technology and STEM education is going to be a big part.
Thank you. Mr. Lavin, hold on to the microphone. The question now is, how do you plan to help the immigrant community? Seconds.
So the immigrant community, you know, that's a good question. There are not a lot, okay, so first off, I'm not from Elizabeth City. Number two, I came here and I saw the population in general just so segmented. You've got the Coast Guard folks, and they kind of operate in their own little circles, and you've got the locals, and they operate in their own little circles, and then you've got the university, and they operate within their own little circles. And the immigrant population, on a much different scale than what I experienced moving in here and not knowing a whole lot of folks, they're in the same circles where they don't feel like they have many resources within the county. And so reaching out to them, making them more involved, the community relations board has got a few openings now to kind of bring in some minorities, some Hispanic folks in general. I think they're looking for 3 positions to be filled. That's a great way to really start reaching out to those types of communities.
Thank you. Mr. Dixon.
Yes, I think you have to connect with those communities. And I'm not sure if we imposed it or not, but we have 411, 911, there's a 211, I believe, which connects people with services. You know, we have the local Boys and Girls Club, the food bank. The services are there. We just have to connect with people who need it the most. And we also should support these communities because they do a lot more. And we don't give them enough credit for you know, what they do. But personally, I've seen firsthand how important something like the Boys and Girls Club is to immigrants, and not only immigrants, homeless people as well. So I think it's just basically the county should continue to support whatever services it can on meeting the needs of these immigrants for future years.
Whose phone? Whose phone?
I'm sorry.
Stand up. Stand up.
We got it.
Who's the charity? What's
Right next door, we got it.
Education Foundation.
Excellent. Thank you very much, ma'am. You want to take this time? Sorry. All right, thank you. All right, hold on to the microphone. You're first on this question. What ideas do you have to increase the county funding for schools? How will you pay for improvements to buildings and other infrastructure?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, you know, my opponent here, things you can pretty well predict. Each department head can predict, you know, 3 years out what the budget's going to be. And you know, if it gets in government, you're going to find out it's just the opposite. You have a set of money you have to deal with because you set your property tax at a certain rate, and our staff does such a good job. They know 99.9% of what's coming in. Then another 20% comes into the sales tax, and that's all over the board. So they always do a great job in being real conservative about that. So basically what happens is that when we start looking at our budget in February, they tell us, here's what we got to spend it on, and then here's your little pot of money that you can go out, and if there's any additional money, you can give it to the school system. Our county is in the best financial shape it's been in since 2008, and I predict that there's going to be a continuous flow of additional funds coming in that we'll be able to give to the school system. We had additional funds this year, but we had two priorities. We had the 911 backup call center, and we had to replace all our radios and our EMS and fire trucks. And that was $1.3 million. We didn't have to spend that. That was going to be a $1.3 million that we had extra. It could have gone to the school system. It could have gone here. So, you know, you're going to have these hiccups, and it's unfortunate. But it's not as easy as what my opponent says you can predict. And these are all mandated by the state.
Thank you. Mr. Lavin?
So your budgets show where your priorities are. And you should be able to predict where you're going to be 3 years out. You know, it's not going to be perfect, it's not going to be down to the penny, but your department heads know what their operations are going to consist of. You know what your property taxes are going to be. That was admitted. You know that you've got to plan for your staff's pay raises and increases. You know you've got the pet projects from each one of your other managers. I mean, in my private life, I've run programs over the course of 3 years, and we've done numbers like deliver $20 million worth of product every month at TPAL over the life of those programs. I mean, we're talking about decent amounts of money, and we've got a budget for every single one of those. Yes, it requires you to look back and forth at that, but we've seen what his options are for funding at the last minute. You know, they had a suggestion to borrow another $500,000 from the hospital. That got turned down. Then the other thing was to push off the 911 upgrades for another year at the state level. That's not going to happen either. And who's left holding the bag? The kids are, the students are, the schools are. So your budget set tell you where your priorities are.
Thank you. Next question, last question for Pasquotank County. Define the economic impact of public schools on the value of our community.
Beautiful question. You know, a strong public education system is the foundation for the success of a community. It's the foundation for individual success, economic success, and the success of our democratic society. Providing adequate local funding helps every single person in every level of this community. It's an investment that produces tremendous returns, and our future is extended to support public education. It creates opportunities for locals in the area. It creates a skilled labor workforce, which is good for recruiting businesses to the area. Just as a side note, in my work at TCOM, there have been several cases where we've had to go outside of this local area to find and recruit the engineers that we need, the highly technical electrical folks that we need here. But it encourages people in the process of relocating here to stay within the confines of Pasquotank County. It's one of the first things that get looked at, the schools and the education system, when a family is buying a house in this area.
Thank you. Commissioner Dixon?
Yes, it's huge. For example, in my business, we have 50-some employees, and none of them are required to have a college education. You want somebody that's bright coming into your door and applying for a job. It's graduated from high school, and it's important that that individual has what training he can expect through grades 12 through K through 12. It's very important. The same example that Mr. Levin gave, the Pasquotank Farms had several job fairs, and they needed 350 workers, and they got 12. But the problem is the workers aren't going to be where there's no jobs. So what's happening is a lot of our kids that are graduating from high school are going outside of our workforce. 15,000, 20,000 people travel to Virginia every day to work at the shipyard. I mean, that's a no-brainer. You don't have to have a college education working in the shipyard. Welders and so forth. So, I mean, we compete against big markets like Norfolk and Chesapeake. It's always going to be hard to compete with those jobs. And
Okay, thank you. All right. You each have 90 seconds to give us a summation, and Commissioner Dixon, we'll start with you.
well, it's been an honor for me to serve as your county commissioner. I'm not in this as a politician. I'm in this as a public servant. I came back and started running my company, my family company. We've been in business since 1939. And I just felt like that with my business background, my company's budget is twice the size of the county's budget. So I do know how to manage numbers as well. But we've been in existence since 1939 without a hiccup. I'm a very conservative fiscal spending person. We're fortunate to have staff who believes the same thing. And we're honored to have a county manager and county finance office. She's so tight that you got to shake her during budget time to get a dollar out of her. So we're fortunate to have staff like that. It makes our job as commissioners a lot easier. So, and again, I'm not in it for the life. I've already mentioned that, if I get elected, this is my last term. I think I've served long enough. We need some new blood. And maybe y'all might decide maybe my time's up. But I would appreciate your vote for one more term.
Thank you. Mr. Lavin?
All right, well, I agree with something that Jeff said. He served long enough. Every time I've run into Jeff, he's been nothing but nice, and I appreciate, we didn't get into it like some other folks tonight, and I appreciate everyone for staying late, except for, I'm just kidding. Look, it said that the county was in the best financial place that it's been in a long time, but we are over $60 million in debt right now, and that's more than our operating budget for any year. We don't have a plan in place to pay off that debt, and I think that's important. Even with your own credit cards at home, you have a little statement down there at the bottom. If you were to only pay your minimum, you pay it off in 35 years or something like that. So there's some sort of plan in your own personal life, but we don't have anything like that here. I think we've got to work on a lot of things. The community wants better. There's a lot of push for better here. So we can do better in a lot of ways, and Jeff's had his time. He's been doing this for 8 years, and long enough, and we need to turn it around. Thanks.
Thank you. Now we have two candidates for